Imagine trusting your doctor with your life, only to discover he might be the very reason it ends. For decades, Harold Shipman was seen as a caring family physician, respected in his community and trusted by hundreds of patients. But behind the white coat was a dark secret. He may have murdered more people than any other serial killer in modern history. Stay with me because in this episode of the True Crime Report Cold Cases, we'll uncover how one man betrayed the sacred trust between doctor and patient, how he got away with it for decades, and the shocking events that finally brought him down. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand how Shipman managed to hide in plain sight, but also how his crimes changed the way medicine is practiced in the UK forever. Harold Frederick Shipman, or Fred as many called him, wasn't just any doctor. He was a man people believed would help them through sickness, ease their pain and comfort their families in times of crisis. But the real question is, how did he turn from healer to killer? And how many lives did he really take before he was finally stopped? To understand the man who would later be known as Dr. Death, we need to look back at his beginnings. Shipman was born in Nottingham in 1946, the second of 3 children in a working-class family. He was particularly close to his mother, Vera. When he was just 17, she died of lung cancer. Toward the end of her life, Shipman saw her pain relieved by morphine injections given at home by a doctor. It's chilling, but many believe this experience planted a seed in his mind, teaching him both the power of morphine and the control a doctor could hold over life and death. He studied medicine at Leeds School of Medicine, graduated in 1970 and married his wife Primrose. On the surface, it seemed like the start of a normal life. But Shipman was already showing cracks. By the mid-1970s he was caught forging prescriptions for pethidine, a strong painkiller for his own use. Most doctors might have lost their careers right there, but Shipman simply paid a fine, spent a short time in rehab and returned to practice. That mistake should have been a red flag, but it wasn't. And so the killings continued. Through the 1980s and 90s, Shipman worked as a GP in Hyde, Greater Manchester. He was considered a dedicated physician, someone willing to do home visits and check on elderly patients. He even established his own surgery in 1993, which boosted his reputation even more. But then strange patterns started to emerge. Too many of his patients were dying, particularly elderly women, often in their own homes and often after Shipman's visits. In 1998, another doctor, Linda Reynolds, raised concerns about the unusually high number of cremation forms Shipman had requested for elderly women. Police briefly investigated but, shockingly, found no evidence and closed the case. Meanwhile, people in the community were also starting to whisper. Local taxi drivers noticed that many of their passengers, usually elderly women taken to see Shipman, never came back alive. And then came the case that would finally break everything wide open. Kathleen Grundy, an 81-year-old former mayoress of Hyde, was found dead at home on June 24, 1998. Shipman was the last person to see her alive, and he signed her death certificate, attributing her passing to old age. But soon after, Grundy's daughter, solicitor Angela Woodruff, was contacted about a suspicious will. This will excluded Angela and her children entirely, leaving about £386,000 to Harold Shipman. Alarm bells rang immediately. Angela was convinced the will was forged and she took her suspicions to the police. Grundy's body was exhumed and toxicology revealed lethal levels of morphine, the same drug Shipman had seen ease his mother's pain decades earlier. Shipman's downfall had begun. Investigators searched his home and found a typewriter used to forge the will. They also discovered that he had altered patient records to cover up his crimes. On January 31, 2000, after a lengthy trial, Harold Shipman was convicted of murdering 15 patients, though the true number was believed to be far higher. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of release. Judge Forbes made it clear, Shipman would never walk free again. Yet even after his conviction, he denied everything. He never confessed, never explained his motives, and never gave the families of his victims the closure they desperately wanted. On January 13, 2004, just one day before his 58th birthday, Harold Shipman was found hanged in his prison cell at Wakefield. Some said it was a coward's way out. Others speculated it was calculated, an attempt to secure his NHS pension for his wife, Primrose. Whatever the reason, his suicide robbed the victims' families of the answers they deserved. They would never know why he did it or how many lives he truly ended. The scale of Shipman's crimes forced the UK to face some harsh truths. A public inquiry led by Dame Janet Smith estimated that Shipman may have killed over 250 patients between 1971 and 1998, most of them elderly women. His actions led to sweeping changes in the medical system, including stricter monitoring of doctors, new rules for prescribing controlled drugs, and updated death certification procedures. These changes are now known as the Shipman Effect. But for the families of his victims, no rule change can erase the pain. They lost mothers, fathers, grandparents, and friends, all at the hands of the very person they trusted most. Harold Shipman remains one of the most chilling examples of betrayal in modern history. A doctor who turned his oath to heal into a weapon for death. So, what do you think drove him? Was it power, control, or something darker, rooted in those early days watching his mother's illness? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this story as shocking as I did, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the world's most haunting true crime cases. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and remember, sometimes the danger comes from where you least expect it.